Make a difference. So today you're going to hear the spoken word. You're going to hear some young folks who are going to lay it on the line, who are going to let you know what it feels like. It might be raw. It could be something of the sort where, they could just be bringing it home. But I believe this. That when you hear their passion and you hear their words, you're hearing truth coming out. So let's continue. We need our artists. If you're a spoken word artist, we need you. If you're a designer, if you're a producer, you're in film, you're a musician, we need you. And I also will tell you this as I close. I recognize that when the movement is weak, so is the music. When the movement is weak, so is the poetry. When the movement is weak, so are the films. But when the movement gets strong and we organize in the streets to the suites, then you will truly see our poets and our filmmakers and our artists begin to speak truth to power. Thank you.
Reverend Yearwood, before you leave, Reverend Yearwood, can we get a positive change pledge from some of those hip-hoppers and rappers that you work with?
Oh, we are, though. We are. I mean, we will get some more. I think that it's a process.
Yes.
It's a great question, but I think that we do have artists like the Siri X and Immortal Technique, and we have artists even here. I think that we have to, again, Dr. Reynolds would know this. Dr. Reynolds knows, in the words of Malcolm, he said, "He who controls the media controls the masses. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent." And so a lot of times when artists are working with me, like 2 Chainz, who are out there doing voting campaigns, you won't ever see that. But you'll see on World Star, whatever, him getting robbed or other things going on back and forth, because they'll paint that. So I think it's our job for our new media, those who are coming up, to really display that message and to make sure that folks can see all sides of the story.
All right, so that's a yes. We'll get some positive
It's a yes,
change.
and it will continue.
Some positive change pledges. Great.
Thank you.
We would like to ask you to hashtag nonviolence MLK50. Excuse me. Hashtag nonviolence MLK50. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Lanice Bias, who's going to come forward and kind of give the ground rules for our spoken word session.
Good morning. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be here and to share in this historic event. We have some brilliant young people here, young students today, that have come to share their perspective on what's happening in their realm of influence within their community. They will come forth. They will give their poems. I would like to thank we have been working with the young people, kind of coaching and mentoring them, and that's Lisa Combe and Abina Dishro and myself. And we believe that our young people are teachable, reachable, lovable, and savable, and we'll give you a presentation of that this morning. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nyla Klusman. I'm here representing NYLI. I go to school in Washington, D.C., and I'm in the 11th grade. My poem is untitled. Have you ever heard of that thing called success? It's something that happens when you try your best. On that road comes trials and tribulations, also temptation. Don't give up success for one fight, because that one fight can have you in jail your whole life. Your second thought is your first response, your future ahead of you, that you may become someone's boss. So before reacting, do a checklist and ask yourself, is your rival worth it? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mariah Stewart. I'm a part of the Mayor's Youth Leadership Institute, and I'm a 10th grader in Washington, D.C. The phrase that our actions speak better than our words have been taken and applied into every situation. The topic of pursuing nonviolence has been around for a while for the goal of peace among all of us. We have made some major milestones in the past, but now we have a new violence among us, starting with young people. The problem of reacting before thinking is where we seem to forget, is it really worth it? If we were all to take a second take on a situation, I believe we will be making more progression between ourselves and in our communities. We have to teach people how to mediate their problems and able to discuss them thoroughly in order to see everyone's point of view. There is always someone to talk to, but most are afraid, which puts us in a worse situation than we had before. We have to in place help to connect with people, to start thinking, is it really worth it to be violent, or is it better to have the problem resolved responsibly?
Good morning. My name is Tiana Brittingham, and I am with the DC Youth Advisory Council. I am an 11th grader in Washington, D.C. I will be reading a poem by Jada Guy. Violence is a first reaction action that we automatically act to. Why do we succumb to such actions? It is because of impulse. A teen can easily succumb to anger, but when a teen can take a second and think and choose a nonviolent path, then the world can be a better place. We must act as young adults instead of children.
Hi, my name is Lawrence Cross. I'm in the 9th grade in Washington, D.C., and I'm representing the D.C. Youth Advisory Council. The biggest problem in the black community is that we make the wrong choices, going this way instead of that way. Making the wrong choice can lead to a number of problems, whether the choice be killing somebody or stealing something. It can all happen in a matter of seconds, and that choice can change your life. A lot of times you'll have friends that are not doing the right thing. It's your job to break away from them or either tell them what the right thing is. So make the right choice. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tyree Bethay. I'm representing DC Youth Advisory Council. I attend school in Washington, D.C., and I'm an 11th grader. I'm writing an essay about violence. Violence. Everywhere you look, there is some form of violence being displayed within our communities. Who are we to blame for this? Is it someone's upbringing? Is it the news media? Is it the music we listen to? Is it the movies or the videos that we watch? Maybe it's the games that we play. Who is to blame? Is it far too often that people categorize today's youth as being violent? Are we a product of our environment or a product of circumstance? There are some neighborhoods where you can see people holding hands and riding their bikes. You go to another neighborhood, you see people standing in front of the liquor store that you can smell before you reach them. Choices that we make in life are what essentially choose our neighborhoods for us. Many young men like myself have been in situations where I've observed my mother being abused through domestic violence. She was smart enough to get out of the situation. She also told us that a man should never lift a hand to a woman. All it takes to make a wrong decision and your life could be over. Being a young black male is very hard. When I saw my mother's previous boyfriend and my sister's father abusing her, I took it upon myself to try and to defend my mother. I could have gotten a knife or done something to really injure him, but where would I be? I certainly will not be here reading this to you. My goal is to become an attorney. Many of us do not take the time to stop and think. We just act. There is no one person that is better than another. The choices that we make now will definitely impact our future. We also need activities. We need to keep busy so we can stay out of trouble. The arts are always the first to go. Everyone is not an athlete. I am good at playing sports, but my passion is music. It is a way to reach the extra energy that is bottled up. The question that should have been asked: what can we do as a community to be more positively involved with the youth? Everyone, to some extent, has a side of them that can come across as being violent, but there's always a way to deal with that situation. In conclusion, we must place energy into circumstances that benefit us. If it does not, we need not entertain it. We need to ask ourselves these questions. Is it worth me dying over it? Is it worth my time? Do I want to spend the rest of my life locked up? Is this what my mother would expect of me? Will the decision that I make now prevent me from what I want to do in the future? I would like for my fellow youth of today to stand for something or to fall to anything. Nothing is promised, but at least if you set goals for yourself, you can at least say that you have accomplished something.
My name is Houston Godfrey. I am in the 9th grade. My name is Houston Godfrey. I'm in the 9th grade. I am with the Student Advisory Council. Yeah. Violence is a problem with youth because we assume that we need to assess the situation physically versus verbally. Minor accidents such as bumping into somebody could easily escalate into a fight or somebody losing their life. Solving this problem nationally would result from help from the public school system. Public school system would help by installing a social skills class with starting in elementary school and middle school, therefore equipping our youth with the tools necessary for their lives.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nia Williams. I'm representing the DC Youth Advisory Council, and I'm a 10th grader here in Washington, D.C. I am going to be reading my poem, and it's called Our Future. Allow me to introduce a couple of my friends. Alan. What am I doing? Why did I join this gang? I mean, I'm a smart kid. I could be anything I want to be. I thought this would make me cool, you know, fresh. Make me accepted. Now people fear me. They see me chilling with these guys, clutching their bags if I look their way. What kind of life is this? Well, tonight is the war with our rivals. I heard they fight dirty. I hope I make it home, live to see another day. Danielle. I can't believe they robbed me. Held me at gunpoint for a measly pair of sneakers. What would have happened if I died? Was it really worth it? They were my age, too. Just some teens looking for a quick come-up. My older brother wants revenge, using steel, not the law. I told him to stay out of it. He's the only one I have left. Lost my parents to stray bullets. My youngest brother to a rival gang. I'm only 16. How much can I endure? Lord, please protect my family. These two young people represent what happens every day. Teens hurting, fighting, killing one another. Stop and hear me. We need to do better. That young man has a bright future, but you didn't think about that. That young woman has a family who loves her, but you didn't think about that. As youth, we are the future. Why are we on the streets, wasting our time? Where are the enrichment programs, where learning replaces idle time? Scholarships to make college a reality, not a dream. Job opportunities, preparing us for future careers. Mentors, helping us to mold and shape into leaders of tomorrow. Oh, you're too busy. Yet you complain that us youth are misguided. Soon the world will be in our hands. And how can we lead if we aren't taught to look beyond hurting each other? As a community, we need to make a change. Not tomorrow, not next week, or next year, but right now. Thank you.
Let's give our youth another hand. Wasn't that excellent? I firmly believe that one of the greatest resources we have here in the United States of America are our young people. They are this nation's greatest natural resource, our future. Well, we've heard from our youth. Now we will hear from some of our adults the spoken word. Thank you.
My name is Abana Disro, and I'm a part of the Summit Council, and I'd like to share a poem with you that I wrote called Concrete Babies. Concrete babies, walking through wombs of moms, carrying torches, looking for freedom through the marble eyes of a microwave generation. Beep, beep, they want it right now. Beep, beep, it's already there. You see, playgrounds used to be grass and trees with tires hanging from trees, swinging high, swinging low to earth's vibrations. Now dead, solid, covered in concrete with playground scraping knees. You see, concrete babies just get up and sit motionless before technology's eyes, entering into cyberspace. Who's watching who? Delete. Who's watching who? Completely delete. You see, saving is not really saving for you. It's in the backup folder for Big Brother to use when you fly high. It bring you back down to its every need. Cancerous babies, toxic ways of technology and sunken faces. Who's gonna save the babies? Who's gonna save the babies? Miseducations and disgraces of dignity now gone, mad and hating your own kind, mad and snapping with a trigger, I'm gonna kill you. Another piece of me now gone. Who's gonna save the babies? Who's gonna save the babies? Priests breaking vows to seduce and abuse, children fighting wars at 10, 11, and 12 years old, full-blown AIDS babies, incest and molestation. Tell me, who's gonna save our babies? You see, the innermost thoughts of my mind sometimes seems to wander from time to time to places I've never been but seek to find. And even if I loved you less, it would still be more than you know. Thank you.
Once again, my name is Andre Akins. I am the operations manager from the Omega Boys Club, Alive and Free from the Bay Area. I just want to take a few minutes just to give a message to the young people of hope and encouragement. From where I was to where I am and how I got there. For all of you, you are, and I think the common theme that went through this today is that you are very precious and you are very important. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you're facing, no matter the decisions that you have made up to this point, you are very precious and important. And you have to feel that deep within your core. And all the stuff that I got involved in, a lot of it was because I was told and pushed back and pushed down and said that I wasn't good enough. If you are smart, be smart. The most powerful thing you can be is an individual, not with a group, not like everybody else, but to be your own unique person and let that thing flow from within you. Secondly, would also help me, which this may be a little difficult for young people to do, you have to listen. How well you listen will determine how long you live and what kind of life you're going to have. You will hear some information that not all the time you're going to understand. You're going to hear some information that you're not all the time going to think is popular, but it is best. And sometimes when you can't see your life, you have to allow somebody to see your life for you and to see it further than what you can at that particular time. The people that came into my life, they were able to say some things to me. I did not quite understand what it meant at the time, but I realized that they really did want to see me, they really wanted me to stay alive, free, and to have a future. And in order to do that, I didn't quite know how to do that. I had left all that stuff behind and kind of got stuck in how to do wrong so much, I forgot how to do something right. So I had to allow somebody to lead me in the right direction until I could get that confidence and make it on my own. Then you have to, and I think it's been said by all the presenters in one form or fashion, you may have to leave some people behind you, some people that you really care about, some people that have been with you through thick and thin. But you got to look at what you want for your life and the content of what's going on in their lives. And sometimes we think that we can help our friends. Sometimes we think we can help our family. We can't, if I can't swim, I can't jump in there and go save you. So I have to learn how to swim first, and then I can give back, jump back in there and bring you out. So in a lot of cases, you have to do what's good for you in your own life right now. So take your time, slow down. I know some of you may be in situations where you have to act as the adult, but you are not. Allow others to come into your life to help you, and go for the long-term goal. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, or is it still morning? Still morning. Still morning. My name is Bernadette Tolson. I am a charter member of Black Women for Positive Change, and we're in 22 states, and we've already heard from California, Pennsylvania, and Nebraska, and they're watching us now live. So we're in all of these states going live, and we thank this church so much for that. I just want you to know that the Mayor's Youth Leadership Institute used to be mine years ago, and it was called Mayor Barry's Youth Leadership Institute. And Philip Walker, the director, thank you so much. And the DC Youth Advisory Council, I feel that they're mine too, because when I was at the council is when that was erected. And Cedric Jennings, thank you for your students. Just want to say thank you. Love to have you here. Okay.
Our next speaker is very special to our live webcast audience. This is Mrs. Willie King, who was personal secretary to Dr. King for 4 years.
Good morning. Believe it or not, I used to be young also. I'd just like to say a few words to this group. I was brought up in a home that was sort of dysfunctional when I was your age. My father taught me to fight. He said, if you come home and somebody has beaten you up, I'm going to whip you and I'm going to send you back out there, and you had better not come back here again saying that you've been beaten. Now, there were some positive influences in my life outside of the home. I'm saying that so that you can't use the excuse, I am from a dysfunctional home. That may be the case. And in a lot of situations, that is the case. But stop and listen to groups like this, adults like this, adults in your church and your communities will try and guide you in the right direction. Secondly, I'd like to talk about a young man that worked with me when I was employed. I've been retired since '97. This young man I picked up at one of the DC job fairs. After about 3 months of training and what have you, and telling him that he had to report to work on Mondays and definitely on Fridays, and he had to come to work on time. That was a different lifestyle for him. He asked his supervisor if he could come in and speak to me directly. She said yes. He came in all puffed up. Mr. Gordon is his name. He said, "I am so sick of you. I get here 15 minutes late and you complain. I get here 10 minutes late and you complain. I've got friends that work 2 and 3 hours and make 5 times as much money as I make." I looked at him and smiled and said, "You know, that's very good. But I hope that they live long enough to spend that money." Because the lifestyle that they were living, selling drugs, using drugs, was definitely very limited. About 2 months later, he came and asked if he could speak with me again. He said, "Mrs. King," and he had tears in his eyes, "since our last conversation, five of my very best friends are dead. You know what happened? Their lifestyle was not something that would guarantee them a long life." What I want to say to you is make sure that you try and make the right choices. You have choices. You can make choices. You can decide whether or not you want to live or you want to die. And you can rest assured that if you pick up the wrong lifestyle, you will limit the amount of time that you have with us. Thank you. Make the right decisions and continue in the path that you're on today.
Thank you so much. And that history standing in front of us, she was the secretary, of course, for Dr. King, and she is the one who typed the letter from the Birmingham jail, which has meant so much to so many of us. So with the encouragement that she has given us, she has lived it. She's still teaching, as all of us are going to do who are here in this room and who are watching us from all over. So we thank her for her service. I'd like to share with you too, and those from around, that if any of our young people are interested in interning with Harborview FilmWorks and learn firsthand the filmmaking industry, give you something positive to do and to help build your career, you can email them at harborviewfilmworks@gmail.com. That's harborviewfilmworks@gmail.com. Or see them, because they're right here with us, and get a business card. I'd like now to ask Wendy Pohas, the Executive Assistant, the U.S. Attorney for External Affairs for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia, to come up and share with us. Can I get a witness, Ms. Pohas? Come right on up. Thank you very much.
Well, good afternoon again, young people. Glad to be here. And I guess I wanted to go back to the young lady who asked me what were my role models and how did I get where I am. And one thing that people should know about me, I've been blessed to have a wonderful career. My job has taken me all over the world prosecuting people. I've gone to Hong Kong, I've worked in the Caribbean, you know, just working and being a prosecutor internationally. But one of the things, if someone asked me today what really motivated me, and I want to share this with the young people today, is 3 words that I like to live by and I also hope you can live by. And the 3 words that get me by are hope, faith, and charity. And the hope is sometimes, you know, when I was trying to go to college, and one day you're going to have this same situation, and I'm going to be honest, I did not have any money for college, right? And so I was trying to figure out what was going to happen to me. And so one of the things that like fear of not having money cannot make you stay stagnant. You cannot stay in the same place and not do anything because you're afraid to do something, right? You have to figure out how to do something. And the thing that I decided to do, and at your very age, was just to buckle down academically, right? You just got to buckle it down academically. And those who are listening in colleges, you got to keep on buckling academically. And faith. Now, once I got to college, right, everyone gets there and you move forward on hope, right? But sometimes what happens in the faith situation is that you're there and things do not work out the way you thought they were going to work out, right? Because sometimes you can get to college, you got the money, you got there, and then what happens? They pulled my scholarship away. You know, they don't have enough money for me this year. So what I decided to do at that juncture, I came back home and I went to UDC, right? That's what I did because you know why? Because no one was going to keep me from my future. See, that's one of the things you got to keep, like, I heard brothers here this morning say you can't keep making excuses for not being successful. Because if you just use hope, faith, when the storms come, you just stay still in the faith and you move forward and you go ahead and do what you need to do to get to the next step. And then the most important thing is what this is all about today. This is why all the adults here are here today, is charity. You know, I bet if you ask your teachers, your parents, your youth leaders, what is the most important, if you even ask me, what is the most important aspect of my job, I would say you. Forming you, developing you, letting you know your options for success is my biggest pleasure and privilege in my life. So when you graduate, when you move forward, you have got to give back, right? You have got to go back and pull another brother and sister along with you once you got yours. So that's what really motivates me, and that's what I hope motivates you, hope, faith, and charity. And let's all come together as a community and keep our community safe. If we see crime, we have to step up because the next time it could be your brother, it can be your sister, and so we all have to come together and live like our ancestors in courage and in faith. Thank you. Okay, I've been asked to talk about snitching and witnessing, right? And one of the things that we say at our office, at the U.S. Attorney's Office, we use this term is, can I get a witness, right? Can I get a witness? And we kind of stole that from like preachers who get up there and say, can I get a witness? Now, we recognize that some folks are afraid because they're just simply afraid. But I want you to know that in most cities, someone getting hurt for coming forward and testifying is rare. Because all prosecutors' offices across the United States, we work very hard to make sure that you stay safe. We move you out of the zone of danger. We do everything to keep you safe. But a lot of it is culture, right? We have to be honest about ourselves. You know, it's not cool to stand up and save a life. It's not cool to stand up and say, this is my community, we're not having it anymore. And when you come forward, what you're saying is that we are not going to have this violence in my community anymore. See, and one of the things that we have to understand, even if you're scared, I used the example this morning, is that our ancestors who were your age, you know, they stood up. They stood up against being fired, you know, having the fire hose on them. They stood up at the lunch counters, and that took courage. And so it's going to take courage for us as a community, and you are the community, and you're going to have to find some courage. And we're going to partner with you when you take the courage. We're going to partner there with you. We're going to be there with you. We're going to take you through the process safely. But we got to have you stand up in courage because we can no longer tolerate our children dying. It's unacceptable that in our neighborhoods that our children can lay dead in the street and no one will say that's bad. No one will say, I saw what happened. Because also, and I'm going to say this to the adults too, when we do that, we're telling our children their lives don't matter. But see, their lives do matter. And so if their lives matter, we have to start seeking justice for their lives and seeking justice in the courtroom for our lives. We want to complain about not getting justice, but as a community, we must demand justice by our participation. And our participation requires us to get up and go to court and say what we saw, else we won't get any justice in our community. So this is about justice for us. This is about courage in our community. This is about emulating our ancestors by taking up our call for this century to move forward and get justice for our own communities. Thank you so much.
The illustrious poet Sean Carter, also known as Jay-Z, said, "My president is black. In fact, he's half white. If you have a racist mind, you're half right. If you have a racist mind, you'll be all right. My president is black, but his house is all white." He later penned, "Rosa Parks sat so Martin Luther could walk. Martin Luther walked so Barack Obama could run. Barack Obama ran so all our children could fly. I'ma spread my wings, you can meet me in the sky. Hello, Miss America, hey, pretty lady, red, white, and blue, wave that flag for me, lady. No more war, no more Iraq, no more lies. My president is black." That was the remix to a song by another poet, Young Jeezy, called "My President is Black." It captures a lot, but one of the things it captures is history. I teach history to young people, half black and half Jewish. You may have heard of Dr. King, but I'm not sure if you heard of Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. He's a rabbi who, when he marched with Dr. King and 25,000 people from Selma, Alabama to Montgomery, he said walking 54 miles was like his feet were praying. The work that I do is with black students and Jewish students, two groups who are minorities in America who have had a majority impact. The name of our organization is Operation Understanding DC. I stand before you to share an important book in my life that helps me to understand justice and understand a really important word in this conversation, forgiveness. Question: if you were walking home on New Year's Day and someone you did not know pulled a trigger and turned you into a paraplegic, how would you feel and what would you do? A gentleman by the name of Jerry McGill wrote a book. He said, "Dear Marcus, a letter to the person who shot me." He said, "I'm going to write a book because I was innocent and someone I didn't know decided to irrevocably change my life." So I chose to pick up this book and read it. It's called Dear Marcus, A Letter to the Man Who Shot Me by Jerry McGill. Extremely important to this conversation because young people, life happens. But I found the biggest impact about life is how we respond to life's happenings. Jerry McGill is an example of a positive response to a negative thing. So if you allow me, let me read one paragraph to you from this amazing book. Jerry writes to his shooter, "I could have hated you forever. I should have hated you forever. But that's no way to live life, is it? Anger can be such a draining force. Maybe you were angry, Marcus. If you were, I understand. Maybe none of those things was ever going to be a possibility for you. A future, going to school, college. Life is not always fair. For people like us, it's easy to get mired in resentment and ugly jealousies, isn't it? It's okay, I guess, if every now and then we take things out on one another. I really just want you to know I had a life. I had plans, you know. I want you to be aware of that for all it's worth." Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd like to introduce now one of our charter members of Black Women for Positive Change, Reverend Dr. Barbara Reynolds, and she is also the chaplain of our organization.
I just want to take a minute to just say, praise God. I mean, hallelujah. We're here, and God is good all the time. Anybody believe that? Just have to say that. That's why we're here, because God is on our side. In 1963, I saw Selma on TV, and I was a young person in my teens, and what I could not understand is why men on horseback was beating children, women, for what? They looked like me, and I said, what have I done? That people would want to beat people like me. I didn't know, I didn't understand racism, so I went south to Brownsville, Tennessee, and tried to register blacks to vote. At that time, we could not vote. We didn't even think about a black president because we could not vote. And when I was your age, I was running from the Ku Klux Klan, running from folks in sheets. And why did I want to do that? Because I thought, like Harriet Tubman had thought, like Sojourner Truth, how Rosa Parks, that maybe someday we could make it better. And sometimes it did get better. But there was still a tragedy. I was a student at Ohio State University, and I understood how it feels to be a writer, because at that time I was a poet. And so I told my professor, I want to be a journalist. And he told me, colored women, we were colored then, we're black now. He said, colored women cannot be journalists. And see, you got to understand, nobody can tell you what you can do if it's positive. If you have a dream inside of you, don't let anybody take it. I was told I could not be, but I am. 6 books later, I am still a journalist. I'm still here, and you'll still be here if you hold on to your dream and never let go of your dream. You can be all that God ever intended you to be. And I'm here because in the newsrooms there were racism. You know, they still said, Barbara, you shouldn't think like that. You shouldn't be like that. But I said, as long as I have a brain, I'm going to use it the way it's inside of me. That's why I'm here. And what I want to say to you is we need leadership badly in our community. And I want you to find the Dr. King in you. There's a Dr. King in you. There's a Rosa Parks in you. There's a Stephanie Myers in you. There's a Don Hester in you. There's a Ruth Marshall, Dr. Louis Bias. There's leaders in you. We want you to look at us and not be afraid. Yes, we were beat, we were scorned, we were rebuked, but look what happened. Here you are, rising up to be somebody you never thought you could be. Stay strong and keep in it, and don't be afraid. You can make it. In Jesus' name, you can make it. Amen.
You see why she's our chaplain. She is wonderful. Now I'd like to bring forward a young gentleman who is a member of our Summit Council. Excuse me. And he is the co-founder of Shutdown Academy, a former member of the Atlanta Falcons, and a Virginia Tech graduate, a young man from Baltimore who has done things that he never dreamed, and there is yet still more to come for him. May I introduce to you Mr. Keon Carpenter.
The young lady right there, she really touched on something that I want to really get to since I only got 2 minutes. But it's time for us to take our communities back. We can't be afraid of the streets that once raised us. When you see all of this violence that are going on in these communities, it is a cry out for our children. So it's up to us to take back our neighborhoods. We can't sit and wait for the government to wave a magic wand to think that they're going to come clean up our streets when we walk over trash every day, right in our front door. We got to get back to the grandmothers used to watch over us when we were up the street, when the street lights came on, when your mom was at work, daddy's not around, the neighbor looking out for us in the wee hours of the night and the morning. Now it's just all about us. It's all about me. Until something hits our front door, now we want to kumbaya. We want everybody to come support us. It's time to get serious here. We are losing a generation. And until we get serious and start working when the cameras are off, that's then when only change will come. So we got to go to the hood. The hood is not going to come to us. We got to go to where the kids are. Don't be afraid to go where the kids are. That's where the help is needed. So I appreciate you for striking the chord in me, because this is great, and we all cheering and we all encouraging the youth, but we are losing them every single day. And until we stand up and say enough is enough, it's only then change will happen. So I encourage us to come together, band together, You do it for our older generation who paved the way for us to even be here today. If you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for those that have given so much of themselves for us to be able to be free and live and dream and do everything we want to do in life, and we just taking it for granted. But it must stop today. It has to stop today. So that's my charge to the older generation. Don't put all this pressure on these kids. They don't know any better. Step up and be the leader and the parents that you are in your community. Stop looking past stuff. Stop walking over the trash in your neighborhood. Clean it up. It's time to get busy and let's get focused for our children. Don't do it for yourself. Do it for them because they matter. Thank you.
Thank you. The best is yet to come. Now we'll have Rabbi Batya Steinler, Director of Social Justice and Interfaith Initiatives, also a Summit Council member, to come forward.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? I will try to speak tonight. I don't quite have as much energy as everybody else had this morning, so you'll forgive me. But you know when everybody tells you that you're the future leaders of America? It's true. I mean, it's actually true. You're not just the future leaders of America, you're the leaders now, and you're here, which really shows that you're stepping up to be just that. And I know they used to look at me in rooms full of Jewish people and say, you are the future leaders of the Jewish community, and I would look around me and think, uh-oh, what are we going to do with that? But you know what? Look around you, because you're not alone and you're not unsupported, but you are the future leaders, and we need all the leaders we can get. We really do. And a rabbi from thousands of years ago taught that the world is maintained by three things: justice, truth, and peace. And I hope we're all together working for justice, truth, and peace. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you. And now we're going to bring forward, and we're grateful to have her with us, Assistant Police Chief Grooms. Thank you. Please come forward, make a few remarks.
Well, good morning, everyone. I just actually plan to stop by and support this wonderful event. I think it's so important that police, you know, we should do more than just come out in times when people call 911. I think we need to make sure we're there at positive events, positive forums, our youth events, the rec centers, you know, in times of non-crisis, you know, to show that, you know, we definitely need to be part of the community. And I think seminars such as this is so important, and I'm really proud to see so many young people here today. I just spent my morning on Rhode Island Avenue Northeast at the C. Sosa Center. And what was really nice is to see young men and women, you know, actually, you know, trying to change their lives for the better, you know. And I think it's very appropriate that, you know, those in the room here, we all believe that everyone needs a second chance, and we need to work together and support each other. And even from the standpoint of the Metropolitan Police Department, you know, I think too, law enforcement and, you know, even the movement, you know, throughout the country now, you know, with Eric Holder, and I know there's a lot of sessions throughout the city talking about, you know, arresting young men of color and women, you know, for small amounts of drugs, narcotics, you know, is arresting the way, or incarceration really the answer. So I think those are some really good topics, you know, that everyone is talking about. But I want to just say I'm so proud of Washington, D.C. You know, this city has come a long way, and it's not just because, you know, my officers have done a great job, but I think it's the community. You know, the community working alongside with the police, you know, to make a difference, to make their neighborhoods safer, and for everyone to, you know, to enjoy a good quality of life. And I just want to say thank you for including and thinking of us, because again, I think violence and crime is a symptom larger than, you know, just law enforcement, or there's a lot more to the contributions of crime, you know, that we all need to work together as a one entity to
reduce it. And I think this city's going the right place. So thank you very much.
As we wrap up this hour, we want to thank everyone who has been a participant, all of our young people for sharing with us, for giving us things to think about. We appreciate you and we love you dearly and expect much of you. I also want to thank again Metropolitan AME Church for hosting us for the entire day. We appreciate you. This is a day of nonviolence. It has been proclaimed by many communities and by many governors across this country. We are working here today to change the culture of violence. And as we heard, it begins right now with each one of us. We thank you so much for being a part of this, Black Women for Positive Change. If you have the opportunity to come back and join us from 1 to 5, our afternoon panels will be streamed live as well. Go to blackwomenforpositivechange.org between 1 and 5. We want to thank Margaret Locklear, a poet and playwright, for being here. We just had so many, we didn't have a chance to get everybody up and in front, but we thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you so very much. Have a great afternoon.